First of all, there are 22 new locally acquired cases of coronavirus in Victoria. 17 of them are linked to known outbreaks. 14 have been in isolation. Just 14 of those 22 have been in isolation during their infectious period. There were just under 30,000, some 29,986 test results that were received overnight. There are 6 cases in hospital, 1 person is in ICU. Impressive vaccination performance, almost 20,000 jabs yesterday, and we continue to see very large numbers of people taking us up on the additional appointments that we've offered at all of our state-run clinics, particularly AstraZeneca, which is being offered to anybody over 18. There's a process to go through there, but please book your appointment with confidence, knowing that there are the best part of 300,000 additional appointments in the system over the next 5 weeks. Sadly, however, our performance more broadly is not good news. We see too many cases, we see too many mystery cases. We now have 12 or 13 different chains of transmission. The origins of some are unknown to us. That means that this is spreading in an undetected way across the community. We are at a tipping point. There's simply no option today but to further strengthen this lockdown and to, on the advice of the Chief Health Officer, extend it for a further 2 weeks. That is these arrangements, and I'll go through the tougher conditions, the more onerous requirements as part of a strengthened lockdown will be in place until the 2nd of September. I don't enjoy having to make that decision, and I know that the Chief Health Officer doesn't like to have to provide advice to that end. But we do have too many cases, and we run the risk that if we don't take these steps now, that we will see numbers grow, we will see more and more people in hospital, and we will see similar situation to that which is occurring in other parts of our country. We don't want that. I don't want to have to stand here again and have to report deaths. I don't want to have to stand here and report hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of cases every day, and indeed an equal, perhaps even greater number of people in hospital. And we'll do everything we can to avoid that. Now, before I ask Brett to speak to the rationale and before I detail each of the rule changes, most of which in fact come into effect from 11:59 p.m. tonight, I just want to make a couple of comments about why we find ourselves in this position. It's all very well for us to stand here and say that we'll do everything we can to keep the community safe. It's also all very well, and I'm deeply grateful and so proud of the millions and millions of Melburnians and Victorians who are doing the right thing. But every time even a small number of people make really bad choices, selfish choices, it takes away from the hard work that so many millions more are doing, and it extends these lockdowns because it makes it more likely that we will have more cases. We have greater risk, greater uncertainty, and therefore we have no choice but to follow advice that says we need to go harder and we need to go longer in terms of this lockdown. Now, I want to make a couple of comments about one particular event, but I don't for a moment suggest that it's the only event. We've seen people turning the footpath into an impromptu beer garden and doing pub crawls. We've seen people gathering in parks in large numbers. We've seen lots of different people flouting these rules, not doing as they should, making really poor choices. That's not good for anybody, and it takes away from the amazing job that so many millions more are doing every single day. But because there's video footage of a particular engagement party, I think it's only fair that I make a couple of comments and explain to you why I'm angry about that event. I know many, many people across Victoria are angry about that event. It shouldn't have happened. Some of the commentary in the video is just blatant. But what makes me really angry about it is that there are 69 people at that event. And no matter what you're told or what you read, the facts are these: there has been transmission at that event. There has been transmission at that event. The only question is whether it'll be a super spreader event. It's already a transmission event. No matter what you're told, they are the facts. But what makes me really angry about that event is that each of those 69 people will have to be interviewed. Their close contacts will have to be spoken to, tested. Their close contacts will have to be spoken to and tested. Our contact tracers, who are working their guts out for all of us, will have to spend literally thousands of hours dealing with hundreds and thousands of people connected to that engagement party. That is the work that they must do, but it's all entirely preventable. That's what makes me angry and disappointed. That's what events like that cost all of us. Because while our dedicated contact tracers are doing that work, they're not chasing down other cases. They're not driving down other cases. All of us have to make the best choices to limit the spread of this virus, not making selfish choices that add to its spread. It's very simple. But above all, the thing that makes me angriest is that event, that sort of conduct, some of the behaviour we've seen over the course of the weekend, it takes away and it devalues the amazing work that millions and millions of Victorians are doing. These settings are tough. This is a tough time. No one is enjoying this lockdown. I know people are weary. I know people are sick and tired of this. But each of us have to find it in ourselves to make good choices for these next couple of weeks, to drive down these case numbers and to be in a position so that we can reopen. I don't want us to finish up like Sydney, where it's fundamentally got away from them. They're not reopening anytime soon. They're locked in until they get pretty much the whole place vaccinated. That's going to take months. We have an option, we have an opportunity to do differently and to do better than that. But we can't do it on our own. We need every Victorian to play their part in that. Millions are. Some are choosing not to, and I just appeal to those people, please make much better choices. What motivates you, whether it's care for your fellow Victorian, care for those who are closest to you because you don't want to make them sick, or whether it's about avoiding really considerable fines, and the Chief Commissioner will speak to this in a moment, for all of those reasons and more, we're all in this together whether we like it or not. There are no other options. And if people continue to make these sorts of selfish choices, then we will be locked down for longer. I don't want that. No one wants that. That's why I'm appealing to people to follow these rules.